I Chronicles chapter 14. I'm going to read 8 through 17 because I want to give you context. Now when the Philistines heard that David had been anointed king over all Israel, I could lose my mind right there. I said, let me read it again. Just this one's for me. Y'all hold on for a minute. This one's for me. I'm going to give y'all the rest of it in a little bit. Now when the Philistines heard that David had been anointed king over all Israel, all the Philistines went up to search for David. And David heard of it and went out against them. Then the Philistines went and made a raid on the Valley of Rephaim, which is where the giants used to reside. And David inquired of God, saying, y'all excuse me. David inquired of God, y'all like, what he going through? Because I know what's coming. And David inquired of God, saying, shall I go up against the Philistines? Not only, I'm trying not to preach the text. Not only do you want me to do this, but how are you going to move while I'm doing it? Shall I go up against the Philistines? Will you deliver them into my hand? The Lord said to him, go up. Watch the text. Go up, for I will deliver them into your hand. I dare you somebody to put out their hand just like this, say, give them to me. So they went up to Baal Perazim, and David defeated them there. Then David said, God has broken through my enemies by my hand like a breakthrough. Somebody say, like a breakthrough. I'm trying not to preach the text. Help me, Holy Ghost. But he says, God has broke through my enemies by my hand like a breakthrough. Somebody say, like a breakthrough. Like a breakthrough of water. Therefore, they called the name of that place Baal Perazim. And when they left their gods there, they abandoned their gods. When they left their gods there, David gave a commandment and said, and they were burned with fire. David gave a commandment and they were burned with fire. Then the Philistines once again made a raid on the valley. You would have thought that they had enough, but they came back again. Watch the text and watch what David does. Therefore, Father, help my mind. David inquired again. Somebody say, ask him again. God, man, I'm trying. I say, ask him again. I know you already whooped these jokers one time, but say, ask him again. Oh, God. I know you done fought this enemy before. I know you won against this enemy before, but somebody say, ask him again. I'm not talking about stuff that happened years ago. I'm talking about stuff that happened just the other day. I got the victory just the other day, but here come the same enemy I whooped yesterday, and he showed back up today. And you know what you need to do? Somebody say, ask him again. Because watch the text. Watch the text. Therefore David inquired again of God, and God said to him, you shall not go up. You shall not go up after them. Y'all know we got ready for, go up! Not today. You shall not go up after them. Circle around them and come upon them in front of the mulberry trees. And it shall be. It shall be when you hear a sound of marching in the top of the mulberry trees, then, somebody say then. Hold on, God, you don't want me to ambush them? No, I want them to be moving. Wait till you hear them marching. in the top of the trees. Then you shall go out to battle, for God has gone out before you. I don't know if anybody hearing me yet. I'm preaching a little bit. But God, somebody say, God has gone out before me to strike the camp of the Philistines. And so David did as God commanded him. And they drove back the army of the Philistines from Gibeon as far as Gezer. Then the fame of David went out into all the lands, and the Lord brought fear of him upon all nations. Go ahead, take your seats. Can I work with the text a little bit? Announcements of anointing arouse and attract arrest. The Philistines mobilized all their forces to capture David. You got to be somebody for a whole nation to be like, we going after him. And it happened as soon as they heard he was anointed. See, he was anointed before. He had been anointed 2 times before this one. He had been anointed, but when they heard, I hope somebody can hear me, about this anointing. I know you done heard you anointed before, but when you hear about when they heard about this anointing, they mobilized to capture him. I know the text says that they searched him out, but when you look at what it meant that they was looking to arrest him. They was looking to seize him. They were looking to capture him. Listen close. Installation into certain seats will initiate conflict. Nobody was messing with you until you sat in that seat. You thought you wanted that seat until you understood what that seat came with. Somebody say, some seats come with conflict. You may have your seats. Okay. I hope somebody is listening today. Now, side note, this is why resting on our laurels might lull us into lukewarmness and severe loss. See, what happens is when you rest on your laurels, oh, I'm anointed. See, you realize that you're anointed, but the enemy does too. Matter of fact, some enemies don't even recognize you until you become anointed. Here's the thing. When we've been positioned and have permission, we also have provision. Let me say it again. I said when we've been positioned and have permission, we also have provision. In other words, position under divine permission facilitates provision. Y'all got that? Somebody say proper order. Y'all hold on to that one because we're coming back to get it a few times. The text tells us the Philistines went and made a raid on the Valley of Rephaim. Watch this. And David inquired of God, saying, shall I go up against the Philistines? Watch this. Asking for approval acknowledges a few things. It acknowledges relationship. It acknowledges reverence. Here's the one that stuck with me. It acknowledges repository. What you mean repository? I'm glad you asked. In other words, source. A receptacle where things are. This is a repository I'm talking about. A receptacle where things are or may be stored. A person, somebody say a person. A person who has, or a book that contains a lot of information or detailed knowledge. A person, somebody say a person, a person to whom something is entrusted. So when I ask God, when I ask for permission, I am recognizing him as my Lord and my Savior because I'm asking him for permission, because I sing the song, but I'm trying to live the words. My life is not my own. And so I need permission to go out against the enemy that's coming against me. No, I can't just retaliate. I must request permission. Are you hearing what I'm saying? By definition, permission is authorization granted from greater authority. The Lord said to him, go up. Somebody say, go up. He said, go up, for I will deliver them into your hand. Watch this. Supernatural agency. Supernatural strategy. Supernaturally sourced victory. I'm going to say them again. Supernatural agency. Supernatural strategy. Supernaturally sourced victory. Say, victory is mine. Supernaturally. Yes, I have to go out there and physically fight sometimes. But my victory comes through the vein of the supernatural. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Get this, proceeding without permission is a live demonstration of dishonor. Anytime you think you can just, come on, children. Anytime you think you can just leave the house without asking mama or daddy, you're in a full-blown exercise of dishonor. I'm grown. Nah. You 13, calm down. And once you get grown, you're going to be like, you know what I wish? I'm grown now. I can do what I want to do. Well, come pay these grown bills. That whole part. I can make my own decisions in your own house. Let me get away from that vein for these for I cause tension in households. But I can't just move around like I want to, even when I'm grown, because I'm in daddy's house. Oh God. Daddy still has to give me permission to leave. Okay. Daddy still got to say that it's okay for me to go and do this. Because if I step outside the house without his authority, there might be a problem with the power. Are you hearing what I'm saying? He said, go up, for I will deliver them into your hand. So they went to Baal Perazim, which means possessor of breaches. Possessor of breaches, or Lord of breaks. Somebody say Lord of breaks. Okay. According to Isaiah chapter 28, verse 21, this place is also called Mount Perazim. Isn't it interesting if we can visualize in our mind the topography that they're dealing with, the terrain that they're dealing with, because they're going into a valley where giants used to reside. But God is saying, I got a mountain for you. When he says go up, it's literal. When he says, I need you to take the high ground. He said, go up into Mount Perazim. I know what the text is. Baal Perazim. But Isaiah said, matter of fact, Isaiah, when he's referencing it, he's talking about, God, you're going to move like you did at Mount Perazim. And this is the reference that he's pointing to. Anywho. And David defeated them there. He defeated them on the mountain. He defeated them in Baal Perazim, the mount rather. He said, God has broken through. God help my soul. God has broken through my enemies by my hand like a breakthrough of water. Like a river breaking through its banks. Like a bursting overflow. Like a raging flood. What if I told you permission is a conduit for breakthrough? You know, there's this adage that I don't subscribe to that's out there that says it's easier to ask for forgiveness than to ask for permission. When you have a mentality like that, there's an issue with your relationship. Because if there was no issue with your relationship, you would have no issue asking for permission with those who have authority over you. See, we wouldn't have so many renegade churches if folks would have asked permission. God, don't let me go there. I say we wouldn't have so many sales out there operating on their own if somebody would have asked. I didn't say the Lord didn't call you to lead your own church, but do you have permission? And I'm not talking about what you felt. I'm talking about what God said. I feel like God has called me, but did he call you? Don't get caught in your feelings. Because our feelings are fickle. Because sometimes, even when you are called, you don't feel. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Do you feel me? But a breakthrough, like water. Somebody say like water. Like water. Get this, even in David's commandment, y'all know verse 12, even in David's commandment of burning the Philistine gods is probably and possibly prompted by Deuteronomy 7:5, wherein the Lord commands, burn their carved images with fire. So even the stuff that he's commanding comes from higher command. I didn't just get it out of my own head. It didn't just sound like a good thing to do. I got this from somewhere. So sometimes you're hearing leadership telling you stuff. Watch this. If they are God ordained and they are God led, they're getting it from him. Okay. Somebody say go up. I want to go back to Chronicles, 1 Chronicles 14 and 13. Then the Philistines once again made a raid on the valley. Verse 14 says this. Therefore, David inquired again. Somebody say he asked again. Didn't you just deal with this enemy yesterday? Didn't you just win yesterday? You whooped that demon yesterday. And see, this is what pride and arrogance will do to you. I won the last time. I wish they would show their face right here. I know I can beat them. Watch this. It's some demons that you face daily. And just because you whooped them yesterday does not mean, watch this, it don't even mean that you have permission to engage the enemy. You talking about something you going to whoop a demon that you ain't even got permission to engage with. Oh, you don't know the rules of engagement because you don't forgot who your general is. 5 stars. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Do you have permission? You can't just wild out. I know your fight game is something serious. I know you can hold your own. I know you wish somebody would. I know. That everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. That is from the Gospel of Mike Tyson. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Do you have permission? Say, Lord, do I have permission for this fight? Do I have permission for this conflict? It's the same enemy I was fighting yesterday. It's the same Philistines. This ain't, when we get excited when we don't see that set of Egyptians no more. But what happened when you see the same set of Philistines? Lord, I got the victory. Thought I had the victory. Yeah, that was yesterday. But they come and they get 2 days. Well, you know what? We're going to do the same thing we did yesterday because that's what worked. We threw oil on it. Cast the demon out and everything was all good. Except for, that's what was called for yesterday. And the same enemy will take different engagement based on the conflict. Because you won, but you won a battle. The war ain't over. See, sometimes, oh God, quick tangent. Watch this. Sometimes you're fighting and you don't even know the war is over. If my memory of history serves me correctly, the last battle of the Civil War was won by the South. They didn't even get the report that the war was over. They were celebrating a victory in defeat. Because news traveled slowly back then. Watch this, quiet as it's kept, it still does. Some of us fighting stuff that God's like, I've been out of that one. I ain't even over there right now. You sitting there fighting, I ain't even over there. Oh man, I hope somebody's hearing this. Are you listening? Is this speaking to you? He says, watch this, but David inquired again, but this time God said to him, you shall not go up after them. Circle around them. Somebody say move around. Move around. He says circle around them and come up from them in the front of the mulberry trees. He's positioning us for the victory. Does somebody receive that? And so he says, move around to the front. Watch this. Previous engagements are not permits for pending conflicts. I'll say it again. Previous engagements are not permits for pending conflicts. So just because you have a history of victory doesn't mean that you can use that history to fight this battle. Even though you won just yesterday. Permission is a prerequisite. Watch this. Permission. I'm going to get it again. I said permission is a prerequisite. Permission. So I need permission. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Somebody say permission. Somebody say proper order. Okay. David, watch this. David has a proclivity of getting permission. Case in point, when he had a conflict with the Amalekites. 1 Samuel chapter 30, verse 8. So David inquired of the Lord, saying, shall I pursue after this troop? Shall I overtake them? You got to understand, this is the same David. Somebody say the same David. This is the same David that slew Goliath. This is the same David that they made songs about. They said he killed tens of thousands. This ain't his first rodeo. But he asked God, when he's facing the Amalekites, shall I pursue after this troop? Shall I overtake them? Not only how should I engage them, what are you going to do while I'm engaged them? Shall I overtake them? And he answered, pursue, for you shall surely overtake them, and without fail. I need somebody to look at the text. He said, pursue them. He's about to say Keelah, but he said, pursue them. For you shall surely overtake them, and without fail. Somebody say without fail. I need you to own that like it's yours. Somebody say without fail, I will recover all. But first, I need permission. I know what they have is yours. I know they have no rights to it. But do you have permission to go get it? But it's mine. you will recover. Somebody say, I shall recover all by permission. By permission. That's order. By permission. By the way, for those of you that remember, they were at Ziklag. This is chronologically before Saul's death. Can we go back a little further? Let's go back one more time. In a previous Philistine conflict, another set of Philistines. 1 Samuel 23, verse 1 and 2. Then they told David, saying, look, the Philistines are fighting against Keilah. I switched the other two, but this is the one I'm talking about with Keilah. So then they told David, saying, look, the Philistines are fighting against Keilah, and they are robbing the threshing floors. Therefore, y'all got to understand me. See, we like to shout and give praise over all kind of crazy stuff. Me, I get excited because David's got a proclivity. He's got a propensity to ask for permission. We want to understand why is David considered a man after God's own heart? You know why? Because he's always asking for permission. And the one time he didn't ask for permission, he found himself by himself on a roof. Up on a roof. Playing peekaboo. Slow that down. Peek-a-boo. Anyway, come back. Therefore, David inquired of the Lord, saying, shall I go and attack? Watch this. Watch this, because the operative word in this text is actually these. These is preaching right now. Let me read it again. So shall I go and attack these? Somebody lean this way with me, say these. See, I've attacked Philistines before. I killed their giant. If I whooped the biggest of them, if I whooped the greatest of them, man, these little jokers right here, these ain't nobody. This ain't no Goliath. But David inquired of the Lord, saying, shall I go and attack these Philistines? One more time, lean with me, say these. You know, when you don't really want somebody to see who you talk about, that's what you do. These Philistines. Somebody say these Philistines. These Philistines. And the Lord said to David, go and attack the Philistines and save Keilah. Say he has permission. He has permission. Somebody say proper order. Let's go back to 1 Chronicles 14, verse 16. So David did as God commanded him. You know, when he told him to go around up front, wait for them to start marching, and when you hear them marching in the top of the mulberry trees, the balsam trees, that's when I want you to move. Don't do it before then. Don't do it how you want to do it. Don't attack them the way that you did yesterday. I know it's the same enemy, but that fight plan won't work today. Okay, let me say this. That fight plan won't work today. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Somebody say, I need a strategy for today. I need a fight plan for today. Because watch this. I was fighting these demons. Okay, let me get back to the text so nobody think I'm getting out of there. I was fighting these same Philistines just yesterday. And you told me to go up and fight them. And then when they came today, just to make sure that I was still in the will of God. I know I won yesterday, but I want to be in the will today. Because if I'm not in the will today, then I won't win today. If I'm not in the will today, I won't be able to win today. Let me say it one more time. If I'm not in the will today, I know I was in the will yesterday. But that was yesterday. These Philistines, can I go after them? No, don't go up. But when I went up last time, I whooped them. When I went up I went up just yesterday, and I won. Anybody got some stuff that they fighting every day? Anybody can be honest and be frustrated because some days you win and some days you lose. I wonder if you're losing because you keep trying the same battle plan where you won. Because that worked last time. Somebody say, but I need permission this time. Somebody say, permission. Permission. I gotta move. I gotta move. So David did as God commanded him, and he drove back the army. Get this. Somebody say permission is power. Permission is power. Get this. At the same time, oh, y'all didn't think I was just going to leave it like that, right? Watch this. At the same time, somebody say at the same time. I got to tell you the other part of the story. At the same time, this is in the background. At the same time, the Ark of the Covenant is sitting in the house of Obed-Edom. Y'all got to help me. You got to have heard all three parts. I said at this time. Somebody say at this time. If you read the chapter before, it said that the ark was sitting at the house of Obed-Edom for 3 months. You think nothing was happening for 3 months? See, because sometimes God's not ready to move in one way, but he's ready to move in another way. But he's going to see if you're going to do his will, his way. And some of us have paralysis when we're not getting our way. Some of us won't move when it's not happening like it did the last time. Some of us move because like, well, if God ain't moving in this vein, he can't be moving nowhere. God was like, look, the ark ain't moving. The ark gonna be here the ark was there for 3 months. So watch this. They went out to battle without the ark. Isn't it funny how when they went to battle with the ark, when they was under another king, when they was under another covering, they brought the box. They brought the box because usually, somebody say usually when we put them in usually when we have the box, we win. I don't want to box you in. But usually when we have the box, we win. Not this time. Not this time. Not this time. So the Ark of the Covenant was sitting in the house of Obed-Edom. That's in chapter 13. Now I remind you, before the ark was taken, the people seemingly presumed, hear me closely, a form would result in victory. I can't do it like I want to. A form would result in victory. There was a moment where the Philistines contemplated the meaning of the shout. They heard that shout, and all of a sudden they got a history lesson. That's what I know. Let me tell it in my version. You can read it for yourself, but this is how I read it. Watch this. They heard that shout. Watch this. Can I say it like this? They heard the church shout. Dun, 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 dun. They heard the shout. Now, this was a vocal shout, just to be clear. They heard the shout, and you know, this is the same shout. Somebody say the same shout. That brings walls down. So sometimes the shouting can bring down walls and bring a breakthrough that way. But that breakthrough only happened by permission. They had permission to shout. Y'all ain't. Because it was a little while where he said, don't say. Sometimes silence is a strategy. There are some seasons in which the only way you're going to win a battle is if you hush. You know what they say, loose lips sink partnerships, friendships, relationships, friendships. You talk too much. You done gave away our position. Somebody say hush before you mess this up. So they had a moment where they contemplated the meaning of the shout. They came to understand that the ark was in the camp. So watch this. The Philistines knew what they were looking at. They was like, they got the box. They saw the ark was in the camp. Somebody say the form. The form. They hesitated. I hope somebody hear me in the spirit clearly. They hesitated based on their recollection of Israel's historic reputation. They remember these people are the ones that came out of Egypt. These are the ones that God was working on their behalf, and plagues came and fought for them and got them so that they can get out to the wilderness and come to this promised land. That's them. I remember what God did. What is God doing? I remember what God did for them. And sometimes we get a temporary stay of execution. We get this temporary break from warfare because the enemy is like, whoa, I know what that is. But they were like, let me see what they really about, though. Let me see if they just bark and no bite. So they came again. They regrouped. The Philistines regrouped, and Israel was defeated. They had the form. They didn't have the fellowship. They had the form. They didn't have the faith. Are you hearing what I'm saying? They had the form. They didn't have the Father. Because though they had the box, he wasn't there. Well, let me say it this way. You can rock your Jesus pieces and rosaries all you want to. You can have a form. You can have trinkets. You can have your little, can I say it like this, treasure boxes. Just because it's a treasure box, it's still a box. And that's how some of us look at God, like a treasure box. We know he's valuable, but we still want to keep him. I wish I had a treasure box to keep my Jesus in. Oh, no, because you only pray when you're in trouble. Boy, you ain't nobody can intercede like somebody in trouble. All of a sudden, your prayer language get thick. All of a sudden, you can enunciate every single word that comes out of your mouth is absolutely clear because you want the Lord to hear your cry and to hear your call. Father God, in the name of Jesus. Spirit of the living God. But watch this. Some of us have been silent in the wrong seasons. The ark was in the camp. But victory didn't come with it. And therefore, it was captured. The presence of God is not a gold-plated package. It's not a treasure box. God's presence is not in fruitless procedures. It's not in futile protocols. It's not in feckless presumptions. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Watch this. God's presence is not found in a form of godliness. Because you can have the form, but deny the power thereof. But I'm here to tell somebody that permission is power. Are you hearing what I'm saying? We seek and find the presence of God through real relationship. That gives us the audience. Somebody say, that gives me audience. People that don't know you, I don't know you, I've never seen you before in my life. If I just start coming up to you and start talking to you, you might be trying to be polite because you try to act like you say today. You might be in a good mood, you know what I'm saying? You might, but if you don't really know people like that, you be like, hold on, wait a minute. It ain't that I'm not friendly, but don't just rush up to me. Am I talking to anybody in here? Like, okay, I'm like that too, so I'm not picking on nobody. I'm like that. Whoa. Let's get an introduction first now. Don't just come on. Is somebody dying? Is something burning? Because if it ain't that, then slow up. You hear what I'm saying? What you doing? Why you coming at me like this? Slow up now. But relationship gives us audience. Somebody, even when you're, and I'm gonna use you again real quick. But even if you're in a bad mood and you have your reasons, I ain't talking about no senseless stuff. Even if you're in a bad mood, somebody that got relationship, you'll still give them time, won't you? You'll find a way to put that somewhere else. I'm talking about when you're in a real relationship with somebody. You be like, I ain't feeling it today, but because I love you, let me at least hear what you got to say. You see what I'm saying? So relationship gives us audience with him. And then sincere request. That's the access. So we have audience and we have access. And then the next thing is the obedience response, because sometimes when you ask God for something, he'll change your plans. Shall I go up this time? No, this time go around. But obedient response is acknowledgement. Somebody say that's proper order. 1 Corinthians 14:16, one more time. So David did as God commanded him. David did as God commanded him, and they drove back the enemy of the Philistines from Gibeon as far as Gezer. Are you with me? Somebody say permission is power. I'm going to say these again. Supernatural agency, supernatural strategy, and supernaturally sourced victory. Real quick, I got 4 more scriptures for y'all. Y'all can hang with me. Watch this. Go to 1 Chronicles 15, 1 and 2. David built houses for himself in the city of David. And he prepared a place for the ark of God and pitched a tent for it. Verse 2. Then David said, no one may carry the ark of God but the Levites. You think I'm talking about a tribe. I'm talking about a mentality. He said, no one may carry the ark of God but the Levites. For the Lord has chosen them to carry the ark of God and to minister before him forever. I know we like to claim Judah, but you're a Levite too. By function. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Let's drop down to verse 14 and 15 real quick. So the priests and the Levites sanctified themselves, because this is what had to be done. This is proper protocol. So the priests and the Levites sanctified themselves to bring up the ark of God to Israel. Verse 15. And the children of the Levites bore the ark of God on their shoulders by its poles, as Moses had commanded. This ain't something we just came up with. This ain't religious stuff. We do this by permission. By his post, as Moses had commanded. But it wasn't just Moses commanding, it was according to the word of the Lord. Somebody say proper order. Permission is power. But we've looked at it through the lens of something else. We'd rather ask for forgiveness and do what we want to do. And then we got issues when we getting whooped by enemies that we won against yesterday. Because you try to pull out the same things that got you the victory yesterday. But the things that got you the victory yesterday were God ordained. You think it's going to be different today? I know some same demons, some same enemies, some same problems you've been fighting for years. I gave you 3 different battles where David was fighting Philistines over and over and over. When he told you one before that, I whooped y'all giant. And they came back, they wanted some more. And he whooped that set of Philistines. Somebody say, them Philistines. And then the Philistines came back again. Watch this. As soon as they heard he was anointed. You think that your anointing is going to intimidate folks? Sometimes it's going to incite them to violence. Sometimes the seat that you've just been installed into is going to incite insurrection. The enemy going to be like, oh, you anointed now? Well, let's see. You know you can't talk everybody down. Some people, they like, you're going to have to show me. Watch this. Everybody ain't intimidated. I'm talking about people. I'm talking about spirits. Everybody ain't intimidated by your reputation. I wish somebody would. It's somebody who will. And if you don't have permission, they will snatch the presence of God. We got to be so careful to understand that permission is power. It doesn't lessen who I am. It empowers me to be who God called me to be. I know I'm grown. I know I'm mature in the faith. I know I just won against these same enemies yesterday. But you know what I need to do today? Father, do I have your permission to fight this enemy today? And not only do I have your permission, give me your plan. Because what worked yesterday might not work today. And I was anointed yesterday too. And I'm anointed today. The anointing didn't change. But the enemy's plan did. So sometimes we're wondering why we're winning some and we're losing some. Can I give you a strategy? Ask for permission. Permission. Give him praise all over this place. Permission is power.